Welcome back to Clubhouse Chronicles, the place where the Central Illinois music scene gets loud, proud, and unfiltered. I am Twitt, your host with the most, ready to spin you the stories, the sounds, and the struggles behind the bands that are making waves right here in your backyard. This show is powered by our friends over at Broken Record Music Club, your favorite independent record label, bringing you music for whatever you are going through. With that, let's buckle on up because this isn't just a podcast. It's your front row ticket to the heart of your indie music scene. Today, we are traveling a bit further southwest to talk with an up-and-coming Midwest emo band from Jacksonville, Illinois. They've been wreaking havoc in their van all across central and southern Illinois since 2021. They are here coming off the successful releases of two really awesome singles, Frog People and Brett Level Midnight. That's right. You love the name too, so you should probably go listen to it. These are the people making the soundtrack to your late night overthinking. I'm talking about the band Short Notice with members Joseph Derhake on lead vocals, Juliana Fuqua rocking it on the bass, William Juergens shredding the guitar and vocals, and Gabe Kyle on the drums. Welcome to the Clubhouse, everyone.
Hey, what's up?
Happy Sunday. We're recording this on the day of the Super Bowl. Are you guys big football fans at all, or
no, not particularly. But everyone's rooting for somebody.
Right.
Rooting for somebody.
I just want both teams to have fun.
I'm here for the halftime performance and the commercials, and then I'm out. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And especially after your latest releases, I was fired up. I was driving back from Chicago with some of my buddies, and I put them on, and I had my speakers like really loud. I was like, this is perfect. Just perfect. Windows down, driving weather. It was ideal. It really made me want to reach out and say, hey, like, I need to know more about your band. So let's just dive right in. I want you guys to kind of each go through your journey in music. How did you get into it? And just kind of stop right before you guys kind of got together as a band, because that's the next question. So have at it. Whoever wants to go first, go right ahead.
I can't really say too much. I joined most recently. I haven't been in the band it's been 7 months. So I joined in June. But mainly for me growing up, it was just, music was always present. And it was always like alternative music. My parents, I'd be in the back of my mom's Honda Accord 05. The smell of cigarette smoke, morning coffee, and then like Godsmack being played, or 3 Days Grace, Breaking Benjamin, Disturbed, stuff like that. That's where I began. And then, as I grew up, I didn't really do instruments, but I was always singing, going to church in the mornings on Sundays with my grandma, and she'd, "Oh, Joseph, sing us a song." So I'd say, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And I'd be off the walls singing that. And then, I grew up, started doing choir at school, had a falling out with the director, so I stopped. But high school, I didn't do too much music again, but I would always sing privately and, with friends, and my music taste kind of, it would sway around. I of course, growing up, I was all about the alternative stuff, but, then I started getting to metalcore as I became an edgy teenager, and deathcore, like, Suicide Silence and Whitechapel, and metalcore with like Asking Alexandria and stuff. For me, my journey through music was always the genres that I was swinging in or out of at the time. After metalcore, it became a lot of pop punk and math rock. And then that's when I started to get more into Midwest emo and pop emo and stuff like that. So that's where it really started, about 2 years now for me in this genre. But, like I said, I recently joined with them, so they have a lot more interesting stuff to talk about. So that's all I got.
I was really little when I started getting into music. I would sneak into my uncle's room when he wasn't home and listen to all of his CDs and like draw all the artwork, like one for one. And then he'd be like, "How did you draw this so well?" And I'm like, "I just did." He influenced a lot of my music tastes, and I grew up playing Rock Band and Guitar Hero. I would like sit in my room for hours and just play it. And I was like, this would be so cool. I want to do this when I'm older. And so I went through middle school. I picked up violin first, and then started going on through high school. I was singing. And then that's when I joined a drum line with Gabe, actually. And I was like, oh, this is so sick. So I just kept picking up instruments when I could. My parents hated me for it because that was a lot of money. So skipping the band part, I'm actually a percussionist first, and I'm working on getting my doctorate in percussion performance. But in the meantime, all I love to do is just get together with these guys and play my bass with the band. They're like cool or whatever. So
I didn't really get into music until later. I didn't really grow up with music. For me, it was always like filmmaking and writing stories. So I was always into like creative stuff, but I knew like, filmmaking was my passion, which I still pursue to this day. I study film at U of I, but it was probably in about middle school that I started getting into music. Originally like classic rock music. I remember pretty distinctly, like my dad would drive me to school, and right around the time that David Bowie died, like 2015 or 2016, and Starman came on the radio, and that song had me in a chokehold. I don't know, that was the first time I'd ever really like connected with a song. I'd lost a lot of friends going into middle school, and my parents had split around that time, so I really like connected to a lot of these songs about isolation and loneliness and stuff like Starman or like Space Oddity by David Bowie. And then from there I got into Beatles and a lot of just other like classic rock music, and I really connected with it, and that inspired me to learn guitar, which I did there was a class in my like an elective class at my middle school. It was a guitar class, and I thought it would just be interesting to maybe go and learn a couple of my favorite songs and just some chords and stuff. I didn't really want to take it seriously, and my mom thought it was really cool. So I didn't want to tell anyone. I told like my mom and no one else, because I didn't want to be seen as like a like douchey guitar guy that was like, I could play Wonderwall or something like that. I just wanted to go because I was interested in it. Not a lot of people took that class super seriously, but I had a really good teacher who really inspired me to keep going with it and would show me a lot of songs. Her husband would come in every once in a while, and he was like badass guy to me. He was in a band. He showed me how to play Horse with No Name, which was one of the first songs I ever learned. It's like 2 chords. So I mean, yeah, that was
banger.
It is a banger. It is a banger. That really influenced me. And then going forward, I got lessons outside of that and kept up with it for a while. But I wanted to keep it like kind of a secret until I got good. And then like I wanted to have something to show for it. And eventually I started doing some music programs and joining some groups and stuff. And that's how I got more serious about playing. I didn't get into emo music probably until like Midwest emo music, until really the last couple of years, through a friend who would just take me to these shows, like local shows. One of the first emo shows I ever went to was it was Tiny Moving Parts playing with Belmont and Capstan in St. Louis at a venue called Off Broadway. That changed my life, because it was a cool show, like niche, like intimate show. It wasn't at like a stadium or anything. It was like, this is just a smaller venue. These bands, they do this for a living. They have a small dedicated fan base. I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, that seems attainable versus like being a multimillionaire rock star. Like, you don't have to be that to be a musician. These guys were just like doing their thing, making music, and that changed my life. That's what attracted me to that genre. Initially, it's like the DIY style of it.
I guess it's my turn. Yes. Okay, so basically, I spawned in on instruments. My parents always had instruments around the house, everything like that. It all started with my grandpa. My grandpa, anything he could pick up, he could play. And that got passed on to my mom. My mom learned a lot of guitar, and she taught my older brother guitar, and she taught me some stuff. But I always just showed interest in drums. So my mom initially got me this tiny little blue drum set, and I thought that was really cool. I hit it a few times, but I was like, there's just a lot of options. And as I was growing up, we started picking up stuff kind of like Jules, where it was like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, stuff like that. But I was on, I think, Guitar Hero 2. And my dad was just sitting there watching us. And by the way, my parents are massive inspiration for me. Everything I do, I try to do to make them proud. Obviously, they are proud, but I just want to keep... but I was on Guitar Hero, and I was scrolling down, and I saw the song YYZ by Rush. And I was like, who needs a song YYZ? And that was the worst thing I could have said. That was almost sacrilegious to my dad, because he loves Rush. He's like, huh? He's like, come here. Brings me over to the computer, and he shows me a performance from Rush. And we were watching it, and this was the one where Neil Peart had his famous drum solo, and I remember sitting there watching my dad watch just the solo happening, and he was just so like locked into it. Just, I don't know, what word you'd use for it? Entranced, yeah, that'd be a good word. Just watching him just be so locked into it and just so amazed with it. I was like, yep, I'm going to do drums. That's the thing I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So that's when I really started to like pick it up. And then I went and I had my initial drum teacher, and his name was Lynn Ruby. He's super cool. But I started out with him, and I got my first drum set, which I still have. I got that from him. But, things progressed. I got to middle school, where I got into like symphonic kind of bands and stuff like that, where I just, play a snare drum or something like that. But I saw my older brother Michael. He was in the drum line that me and Jules ended up meeting in, which is the JHS drum line. I saw my older brother originally. He still is extremely good at drums and a bunch of other instruments. But I saw him do a performance, and that just relit that fire. And I was like, okay, I'm locking in. We're doing this. And so that's about when I got to high school. I got in a drum line. A few years later, Jules gets in the drum line. That's where we meet for the first time. You had like bright pink hair, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, she looks cool. We're gonna be friends.
I dyed my hair. I was a mess.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, this is cool. And so I just started trying to dive into all of the musical programs that I could while also trying to pursue my own things. I tried starting bands here and there. They didn't really work out. They just didn't have that like thing that clicked. That's about when it got to when Jules was like, hey, you want to come play with this jazz band with me in Springfield? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And that's where, I don't know, me and Jules was kind of locked in. And then one of the original members we had, which is not with us now, not dead.
Well, that's the question. That's the next question.
Yeah.
It's giving away the answers.
My fault.
It's up until we met.
Yeah, that's pretty much right before where it starts. All kinds of instruments, just anything that I would ask for, my parents would get for me because they love music. They wanted me to have music. My mom always says, don't lose your music. If anything, don't lose your music. And honestly, if I lose my music, I'm probably going to be dead because that's all I do. That's all I do.
I feel like there's one of two ways you get involved in the music. It's either your parents have a bunch of stuff around or they're always playing you different music. And then you just take that and turn it into your whole life. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of the people that got the instruments in front of me. So I was never gifted with any kind of talent or to play anything. Even my recorder was like,
I mean, yeah, neither was I, honestly. It wasn't until later that I got into guitar.
Yeah, that's the way I am for sure. I never had, like, my parents don't know anything about music. They just had a good music taste in my mind. So,
Yeah.
I always ran with that.
I also didn't really come from a musical family. I was just a nerd and never left band room in middle school and high school. I just kept spending all my time there.
got all the musical talent by osmosis then, just being in the classroom. So you guys end up forming some part of this band in 2021. Talk a little about how that all came together and then also what the decision was like bringing Joseph in 7 months ago.
Okay, I'll start it. So, yes, I was. So,
Well, no, there's the initial
Okay, here I'll start with that, and then I'll
Okay.
initial short notice.
Originally,
Version 1.
there even before 2021, when we first called ourselves Short Notice, I was maybe like 16, and it was me and a friend of mine who also played guitar. We met through a music program in Decatur. We found out we got lessons from the same guy and that he lived like in the same town that my dad lived. So we would get together all the time and like play guitar and play songs and try to record stuff and write stuff. And he somehow knew two other guys that played like bass and drums. And that was the first sort of incarnation of Short Notice, which came together. We played at it was at my dad's boat club. He called me and said, hey, what are you guys doing? And I said, I'm practicing with this band we just made. He's like, oh, you guys want to come down and play? And we're like, it's kind of short notice, but which I didn't come up with that. That was our old bass player. I think it was his brother actually, like just came up with like something printed off. It said Short Notice, put it on the drum head and said, this is your band name now. And we stuck with that. It was that for a while. Eventually people sort of drifted off and we needed a new bass player and a new drummer. And that's where Jules came in next.
yay! Okay, so I knew Will's friend, the other guitarist. We played in a jazz band together, actually. And he came up to me, and this is like, what, year 6 or 7 of us being friends. Gabe and I
Yeah, me and Jules have been friends for like 10 plus years now.
Yeah. But the previous guitarist came up to me. He's like, do you want to start a band? Like, I know another guitarist and we need a bass player. And I was like, oh, that works out great. Like, I know a drummer. So it took months. Like, we were like, yeah, such a cool idea. And then we just didn't do anything about it. But eventually we got each other's numbers and we just kind of came up with like half a set list. We were like, okay, we like Weezer and here's some Offspring maybe. And yeah, so we got together for our first practice. This was our previous guitarist, me, Gabe, and Will. And Will didn't say a word. Didn't even say hi. He pulled up and I texted Gabe and I was like, I don't know this other guy. Like, I know the blonde one. We went to jazz together. I was like, I don't know this other guy. Will did not talk at all.
That's not pretty accurate.
And we didn't have a microphone stand. We taped a microphone to the ceiling. So it's like hanging down, and we were just like, well, like, and we kind of like noodled around, and eventually someone was like, let's play Say It Ain't So by Weezer. And so we got through the song, and it sounded like the song. And we were like, whoa, okay, so there's something here.
I'm not gonna lie, it sounded a lot like the song. That was a really good playthrough.
We were all
like,
very
wow.
surprised.
Ready to go on tour already.
We got it. And then we stuck together for quite a while. Like, we all went to different schools, and I started going to college. And then this was also when, fun fact, I was hit by a car and I broke my leg and my ankle, and I was like immobile, so it was even harder to get together. And like COVID and all of that, we just kept going further along, and then eventually, you know, we got our first gig, and we started playing out places and gelling together a little bit more. Will said some words sometimes. Yeah, I want to like transition over to when we got Joseph.
So it started, I was trying to get involved in the music scene around here for a while. So there's another band around here that I was trying to be a part of. Two of my good friends were already in that band, and they always talked about needing a vocalist. They had no vocalist, and they would go through like 4 every 6 months, just running through them. I'm like, dude, let me try out. And they would always give me the same, you know, I really don't know about that. You know, there's already 2. I went to school with 2 of them, but 3 of them in this 5-piece were my close friends already. Like, I knew them, been to their home. We'd sat down, we broke bread together, you know? So he was like, you know, there's already 3 of us really good friends in the band. If it goes wrong, I don't want to hate 3 of my best friends for the rest of my life.
So he chose to hate us instead.
Yeah.
So he was like, we don't think it's a good idea. And I never got involved with that band. Eventually, years later, this is probably in like February last year, so a year ago, or maybe March, I ran into the bassist for that band. And I didn't really know him as well, but I'd mentioned that I was trying to get into your band for a really long time. He's like, really? Well, what do you like these days? What do you listen to? What would you want to do? And I'm like, pop punk, indie rock, emo, Midwest emo. And he was like, you know, there's a Midwest emo band out of Jacksonville that's pretty good. And I'm like, really? I didn't know of any Midwest emo bands at all that were around here, like ever. Like, I'd go to Facebook and look up Central Illinois Midwest emo. Like, I'd try looking that up on those places. And whenever I looked that up, it would just be like the entire region of the Midwest's emo community. So you're getting people that are like, hey, is anybody going to the Black Veil Brides concert? And I'm like, so I just couldn't find anything. And I was finally being told there's a Midwest emo band, you know, 20 miles to your west, because I lived in 20 minutes south of Springfield for most of my life until I moved there recently. So it took me like a month to get the courage to text their Instagram chat.
My turn.
Wait, I want to turn. Hold on.
Gabe doesn't have it.
I'm not talking about Gabe right now. So beautiful baby boy Joseph.
All right.
Sent a message to our band Facebook.
I still had the message too.
It's on Facebook? I thought it was Instagram.
It was Messenger.
Okay. And
it was the most formal, like, sweet request ever. He was like, I am Joseph Thomas Russell Derhake, and I'm humbly requesting to join your band. If you guys say no, I would totally understand. I hate myself too. And like, so formal and sweet. And this was like right when we were looking for a singer. So I like sent a message to Gabe, and I was like, hey, dude's interested, like, let's see what's up. And now you can talk.
No, like the stars could not have aligned at a more perfect time, because we had just got done doing a gig with this other band. I'm gonna name drop the band too, Crash Planet. Everyone can go listen to their music.
All right.
They're great. Love Crash Planet. But we did a gig with them, and I was talking to the bassist, and I was like, hey, you have any criticisms or anything like that? Because we're always trying to look to improve our sound and our music and everything like that. And at the moment, he's like, gotta work on vocals. He's like, but I have someone that's been looking. And this is talking about Joseph too, because I had asked at the perfect time. He's like, I have someone that I want to throw your way. I'll tell him to message you. And then it just, like Joseph said, it took him a month. And I was like, oh, this guy is not messaging us. He does not like us.
I had reservations because I would ask people that I knew that are in the, like I said, I've got friends in the scene in Springfield, but these guys don't play there necessarily all that often. So I was asking them, hey, do you know this band Short Notice from Jacksonville? And a bunch of people were saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're in high school. It's a bunch of upperclassmen in high school. And I think they're one of their parents helps manage the band or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, shit. I don't want to get involved with that. You know, I was 21. I didn't want to get involved with a whole bunch of, 16 to 18-year-olds and their mom, just being like, we're going to do a show on this day. And I'm like, I have work like an adult human. This is what I do. I was really, really hesitant because I didn't know anything and nobody was giving me solid answers. I would look them up on like YouTube and Facebook, but it's videos of them and they look way younger. So I'm thinking, shit, this is whenever they were like in 8th grade doing a show for like one of their parents get-togethers. Yeah.
Not the talent show.
Maybe there was a family reunion. Oh, your band could play for the rest of the fam. Would that be nice? One of those. I finally messaged them. It was real long. It was real formal. It was all, I would like to humbly join. I am a good vocalist. I have done vocals at school. I was supposed to be in a play if not for COVID and stuff like that. So I got a text back, and then of course they wanted a little bit of audition tapes. So they wanted to hear what I sounded like. So
I love those videos.
I'm combing through like my Spotify thinking, okay, shit, it's got to be something that they would kind of enjoy, and then it's got something that I know I can pull off good enough to be convincing. So I'm doing My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. I did a song by a band called Vacations, British band called Vacations, and then I did one more that I don't remember.
It was
Jail Socks.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
Jail
Jail
Socks.
Socks.
It was a Midwest emo band called Jail Socks that I covered as well.
I didn't
So-
even know Jail Socks. That's what introduced me to Jail Socks.
Jail Socks is fun. They're badass.
Jail Socks slaps.
They're good as hell. So I sent them the videos, and I'd taken like 40 takes of each one of these. So I had like I had to wait for a day when my family wasn't going to be home. Like I had the house to myself. I was in certain rooms for certain songs based off the acoustics. Oh man, it was terrible. I was trying so hard.
It was not terrible. It was
No,
awesome.
it was
awesome.
great.
I was like, oh, thank God, he doesn't sound horrible.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
I sent the videos and they were like, these are great. Do you think you can show up for a practice? I drove here for the first practice, and it was just Gabe, Will, and our first vocalist and guitarist. So Jules was not there for the first meeting or the second time that I showed up to practice.
I had no idea. This guy, we hadn't met.
How many rehearsals was that? It was like 2 or 3 until you actually got here because of all your college stuff.
I was getting through the end of my undergraduate, and there were like groups left and right that were like, we need a percussionist, we need a bassist, we need another vocalist. And so I was like, I'm so sorry guys, like I'm booked like crazy, I can't make the practice, let me know how the new guy is. And of course none of them got back to me, so I'm just like, I hope it went well. But I did see the videos, and I was telling Gabe, I was like, dude, this guy's fucking awesome, like I want him in the band, this is so cool. So yeah, Joseph and I didn't meet until like a month after he started showing up.
It was a good minute. I was finally like, oh yeah, you're our 4th or our 5th. Shit. That's more or less how I came around. I have no idea what it looked like from everyone's perspective, but they really like telling about hello, my name is Joseph Durhick. I would like to please join your band, please. So that's part I really like too.
I feel like that's pretty reasonable to like, that's so nerve-wracking to just ask a band like, hey, can I join? Like you're trying to come off as like, hey, I've never been in a band before, but I would really appreciate this opportunity to bring your band to future glory and all this stuff. Like it's got to be so nerve-wracking.
You gotta be confident enough, but not cocky.
It worked out for Freddie Mercury. He just rolled up and said, let me sing for your band.
Ugh,
You saw how that went.
I'm not Freddie Mercury.
Queen, Midwest emo is
It's potato. You heard Bohemian Rhapsody. It's basically Midwest emo.
And then for the first month or so that I was coming to practice, they just had me doing like 3 songs just to see how I'd sound, and then they would have other shows. I think
The first show that we had you sing at was a 4-hour-long show we played at a bar.
yeah.
No,
Horrible. Oh my gosh.
Before that though, we had another show without Joseph, just because he wasn't quite ready yet. And one of Joseph's friends contacted him and was like, dude, your band is playing without you. And Joseph was like, I hope so.
Yeah, these guys showed up to a bar in Springfield for an open mic one evening, and my buddy like runs practically the open mics. He goes to each of them that Springfield has, a lot of the big open mics at least. And they showed up to just play a few songs, and sure as shit, I get a text, and he's like, "Yo, man, I think your band is here playing without you." And I'm like, "Good." It's like I don't think you'd want me up there right now. I don't know anything. It was around the end of June when I finally got on stage, and it was just in the middle of their set. They were like, "Oh yeah, we got a new vocalist, so please help us welcome him up to stage for a few songs. This is Joseph." And I come up there. I think I did like Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy, and I think we did Lit.
Yeah.
We did Lit, and then
Others, yeah.
and then one or two more, and then I was off. Then I was off the stage. 4-hour show. I'd never been in a band before. This is the first time I'm on stage in front of everybody. And it's a college bar, so there's like max 20 people there. Most people are watching the pool game that's taking place. So
It's also the same show where we're like, I think I'm done being like just a bar band. Nothing wrong with being a bar band, but it's not what we want to do. We're like, this is crazy. Sitting here for 4, there was no other bands. It was just us for 4 straight hours just going at it. That was, oh my gosh.
It was a turning point.
It was a turning point. Yeah, we all got out of there and said, we're not doing that again.
However,
We're tired.
However, after that show, I did cry because I was like, "Oh my god, I'm now a professional musician by definition."
Yeah,
It was-
got paid. We gave Joseph money.
Yeah, I was on there. I was on the bill.
It's a big moment. Respect to all the bar bands out there playing for 4 hours and grinding. Holy
Yeah.
hell.
My buddy who sent me the text about them playing the open mic when I wasn't there. Last night, I went to one of his shows, and same thing. He was up there for 4 hours, but he's a bluesman who, like, that's what he strives for. He loves it. So he's all good with it. But still, you've got to have a cramp in your fingers by that point.
I used to work with a couple people who they started doing that. That was like a lot of their main gigs. I was working with a country singer for a while, and that's what his main gig was like 3-hour just monster sets of him just playing country music. And he was like, "How come you don't come to a ton of my shows?" I'm like, "Man, it's 3 hours of the same covers." Like, I'm sorry. I love country music. I love you as an artist, man, but same covers every time.
Yeah.
That's where we were at. We threw Joseph like a list that was 50 songs long, and we were like, "Don't panic, but we do already know these songs."
There were just covers we didn't really have any like they weren't even really songs that fit us really. We'd play like "Don't Fear the Reaper" and shit like that.
Oh,
Okay,
God,
we wanna
yeah.
play, like,
Wasn't
we
our
know we
genre.
wanted to do emo and like Midwest emo.
Well, you guys were also like a bit like primarily a bar band at that point, and most people in the bars are 30, 40, 50 years old, and they want to hear stuff that they were listening to when they were our age. So that's, "Don't Fear the Reaper." That's "Don't Fear the Reaper."
It's just "Don't Fear the Reaper" on repeat.
Yeah, we got asked for that a lot.
Play my favorite song. Okay, here we
And
go.
you know what's so crazy, actually? On song requests, too, we went out of our way to learn Freebird for the moment that someone went, "Play Freebird." No one ever asked. It was right after we learned it, too, because a few other times someone was like, "Play Freebird." We're like, we do not know that song. We're not pulling that out of nowhere. Right after we learned it, no one ever asked again. Never. Funny enough, though, we also did learn "Limelight" by Rush, and someone said "Play Rush," and we own that song. We killed that song. That was awesome.
I did learn one.
Yeah.
That one was hard.
It is, yeah. Rush tends to be hard.
That is hard.
Song.
It's so.
Way to be good sports and learning Freebird, though.
I never played it live.
We
Good for you. That's
Did it just because.
we had a show. One of the artists that I work with, she was playing like it was all their own material. So there was 3 bands on the bill, and there's this drunk girl in the crowd, "Play Freebird." And she just stares at her like, "What the hell? Like, this isn't that kind of show." So you guys go through this whole growth period, as I want to call it. You guys are playing bars. You hit this turning point where we should put out our own stuff. So in 2024, you put out your first 2 songs. "The Day I Take Accountability for My Actions" is the day something equally unlikely will happen, and "Sexy 2.0."
Ooh, fun
So-
fact about accountability, by the way. If you watch that on YouTube, the song ends before it gets to the title. When it scrolls through the title, it will play the whole song before the title scrolls.
Jeez. It's an awesome title, but it's mouthful. This is the first time I've said it out loud. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's not
We
too
always
bad."
shorthand it to accountability.
Yeah.
It's just,
You put out these two awesome songs as your first body of work, and it had been the 3 years had passed since you guys really got started together. What was it finally like to get into a studio and record the tracks and then actually put them out there so people could listen to short notice themselves and not just cover songs?
I mean, yeah, that was a big deal for me because like it was so shocking to just how easily it came about. It had been a thing we had talked about for years. It's like if we had a recording out of like a song we wrote, that would just mean the world to us. And like we tried songwriting a couple of times and it wasn't really what we wanted. So then we'd forget about it and then go back to doing covers. It kind of just locked in at one point, and we had a handful of songs that we were really proud of. We're like, all right, well now we need to find a way to record these. Like we know these sound good. Like we played them out a few times, people liked them, and our mutual friend in Crash Planet, Ty. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
Shows how much you appreciate him.
Ty Sherman. He ended up recording us, and that was after just I had, because I knew that he produced all of Crash Planet's original music.
Super talented guy.
Their bass player Nate said, "Yeah, just reach out to him, and he'll probably record you guys." I just shot him a message and asked if he would be willing to record us. He said he'd be down, and he gave us a pretty like reasonable rate. And yeah, it was we were the first band outside of his own that he recorded, and I think he did a really good job with them, and we were really proud with how those came out. So yeah, that meant a lot to us to have that out. It was just so shocking to me that like that's all it took was me. Like I just asked one person, and then it kind of went through from there, and we went back to record with them this most recent time with the new singles.
It was really, really cool because after we had released our songs, people were like sending us clips of them like listening to it in their cars or on their like home devices. I used to work in a kitchen, and they like threw it in on the playlist so you could hear it when you come into the restaurant. Shout out to Rudy's Grill. Go eat there if you're out in Jacksonville. Just saying, it's a great restaurant. I worked there for 4 years. But there's something that, at least to me, like short circuits me when I walk in and I hear my song playing, and I'm like, oh, that's my music. That's so cool. So it's just, I think it's really, really cool.
It's a lot more fulfilling than playing for 4 hours at a bar and none of them are your song. Well, actually, no. At that 4-hour gig, we did play Accountability and Sexy 2.0, and then there's 2 other songs that we were kind of like with because we didn't really like it. We revamped them though. Be looking out for those.
The whole songwriting process has taken a long time for us to lock down. It's I think we finally have a sound that we know is unique to ourselves and that we know we want to hone in on. Before that, we really didn't know what we wanted, so it's kind of all over the place. But I feel like we're a lot more focused now when it comes to songwriting, which has been really nice.
One thing I wanted to bring up about the past releases in my going through your various social media accounts was the announcement video for the first 2 singles. And I thought it was so fucking hilarious, especially when Gabe's like at the computer and he's like trying to put the flash drive into the drive, and he's like, this fucking thing, and he has to flip it over.
That was the real thing with that flash drive, because it has to plug in upside down for some reason, and so that was just
this thing right here.
Yeah.
Frustrating too, because it's so hard to get this thing open. I actually was fighting for my life trying to get this open. Fun fact too, this thumb drive like keeps all of our like songs. It's got all of our song files and like videos and stuff on there, so it's got purpose.
It's gold.
It is gold. Look at that.
I love when bands do that kind of stuff to promote their releases, and I was like, damn, they didn't do it. I didn't see a video for the latest singles. Is that something that you want to continue like with your releases in the future? Because I don't know, personally, I thought it was hilarious.
We absolutely want to keep that up, and we did have an announcement video for Frog People and Brett Level Midnight, and I don't know if is it on the Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
Yeah, it's on Instagram and Facebook.
It's on Instagram. And Facebook.
I didn't see it on your YouTube.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
I was like so hyper focused on one platform.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, we had one for Frog People that's also pretty,
It's really unhinged.
rambunctious.
It's the frog costume in the store, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I did see it then.
That one that is a little short video that I think Will and somebody else made. The one where it's in the store, like the little
like
card.
actually shopping.
Yeah, the one where he picks out like cereal or something.
Oh yeah,
no,
no,
that
that's
was
not the
that was me and Ty.
The announcement video was like
That was
one of our friends turning into a frog and
That frog costume,
and then chasing down Gabe while Frog People is playing in the background. And like the chase goes from like the house to inside of his van to inside of a record store where
Shout out Pizza Records.
shout out
Sorry.
Pizza Records here in Jacksonville. The frog catches Gabe, gives him a little like cursed hat. Gabe turns into a frog, and then the end of the video is like the very end of our song being played, and a frog just like scooting around in a
On a
sled
sled.
whenever we got the snow. So there is something out there for it. I thought that one was great. So we absolutely want to keep up with the funny announcement videos, trying to think of what can we do to make a video pop, make people stop and watch it. A lot of like what they do with ads nowadays. They put the hook in there in the first 5 seconds so that once that skip ad button shows up, maybe you won't hit it if it's just funny enough. But yeah, absolutely. It's a big idea, and I want to like write down some concept ideas for other videos.
The announcement video for Brett Level Midnight is extremely low effort. Actually, it's really funny.
We put in everything to. We thought it'd be funny to put this high effort, like high production value into Frog People, and then we just had the most low effort thing to Brett Level Midnight. Not like just why not? That'd be funny. I have a lot of fun with those, especially like being a film student, getting to make those. And then I think Gabe is such a great physical actor. Like comedic, like the last one we did for Frog People is basically a Tom and Jerry skit.
Yeah.
It's just it's slapstick humor. But I've had a lot of fun with those. I definitely want to. We gotta step it up next time. I think each release is a new. We gotta step it up.
If it impresses us, it'll impress someone else.
Like you said, it's just something to grab people, and it's so silly, but at the same time, it's like now I have to listen to the song, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm obligated to. Like you got dressed up in a frog costume, ran around a bunch of stores. Like it's the least I could do. Let you earn your 1,000th of a cent from Spotify. Where I wanted to go next was your location. So you guys are in Jacksonville, Illinois. And it's a bit further away from a lot of the people that I've interviewed are from like Champaign area or Bloomington area. But the Central Illinois scene is so great because it's so encompassing. It's so wide. It's literally from Bloomington all the way down to Springfield and sometimes St. Louis. St. Louis is like Southern Illinois though, so you can't really say St. Louis. You're kind of in like the middle between these points, and it hasn't stopped you guys from being a successful band, and your music is doing really well. Sexy 2.0, one of your best songs performing on streaming services. And all your music is fantastic, but does your location come with challenges, and how have you kind of as a band had to adjust, if you've had to adjust at all to that?
We all live in different cities now, so like we all commute to Jacksonville to get to games. Like I'm in Champaign now for school. Jules is out in Bloomington and Joseph in Springfield now. So we all have to commute to like practices, and a lot of the times we'll have to commute to shows and stuff, but it's not the worst like central location. I mean, we're not far from St. Louis. We're not too far from Champaign, Bloomington, Springfield. Jacksonville itself is starting to build sort of a bigger music scene with we've connected really well with Pizza Records. We play there all the time and have done a lot of cool shows there.
It is nice because we're pretty expendable, so we go out where we can. I mean it in a good way.
The face Joseph just gave.
But like Will said, we're really not too far from anything. So when people are like, hey, we know it's a little bit of a drive, we're like, we don't care. We will go. And I mean, it's easier to expand further out around us too, like hoping to get into Indianapolis and further into Missouri and that sort of thing. So, and there is a growing scene in Jacksonville as well. A lot more people are like, hey, maybe we like music too. And so it's nice to be a part of the growing scene as well. Like not starting where it's big and like jumping in, but being like, hey, we were down here when it was like at the bottom. So it's really nice.
I feel like we're past the really challenging part, which is trying to make an entrance in another area. Like St. Louis, I thought it was going to be years before we'd even have a chance to get anywhere in St. Louis. But, I think that's what our first show this year is going to be, is in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to go there at all. We've made good connections. There's a good handful of pretty well-off bands down there that have invited us to shows, or we've had, 2 touring acts now reach out to us to see if we'll open for them. Fortunately, we've had to turn them down every time, but it's still, it happens. It happens. You know, we're just waiting for the next, you know, the big one to come around and be like, hey, you guys want to open? And then we eventually, you know, get out to the big stage and we say, hey, we're from your backyard. Come check us out other times. And then it's just, it's a logarithmic kind of thing. More people equals more people equals more people.
It's all part of the 80-step plan.
You know, we're hoping to break into Bloomington this year for reals. I mean, we played Battle of the Bands up there a few months ago, and that was cool. Met a bunch of cool people, made a good connection. We want to start in Bloomington soon, so that hopefully, you know, that web will grow and maybe touch Chicago, and then go to Chicago eventually. That web will also branch out to maybe Green Bay or Milwaukee or something.
Basically, we don't want to remain local. We love the local scene.
We love the people in the local scene, but who doesn't want to be a rock star?
I mean, we would just take it as far as we can go. We want to playing shows out of town has been a lot of fun and exposes us to a lot of new people. I think that's kind of that's the goal going forward, is to branch out as far as we can.
Yeah, I saw you guys were in the Battle of the Bands at the Castle, and you were on the bill with a lot of really awesome bands that I've gotten to know and love, and I'm sure you fit right in. And then I'm sure your Harrison Gordon cover went over extremely well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Man.
Harrison also happened to be there and watched us play.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Right on side stage. That was crazy. We were about midway through the song, and I looked over to the side stage as I was trying to walk in. I just see Harrison standing there, and I was like, "Oh!"
I remember doing that exact same thing too. I was singing the song, and like halfway through, I just looked to the left, and he's standing in the door. There's a picture of him on our Instagram. Him and Jules are in frame.
Yeah.
Jules is hitting it with this you know, gleeful grin on her face, and Harrison's doing that pose. He's got an arm up. He's leaning up against the door frame. He's like a proud dad,
Definite proud
walking in on his son. You know, just like can't even be mad. You know, kind of shit. That was exhilarating. I love both the feeling whenever I looked over, saw him, and was like, holy shit, there he is. And then the photo afterwards that one of the photographers at the show was able to snap and give to us. That's just, if ever I need more inspiration, I look at that photo. I'm like, he's right there. He's right there.
He's right there. He liked our song. He liked our song.
He ended up following our band. He follows all of us.
Yeah.
Yep. He follows us individually. You know, I'll post a fucking stupid meme on my Instagram story, and he'll be like, so I do appreciate that.
yeah. He's been really good to us and really nice, just like a mentor figure. It's cool to see someone from the same area as us who has gone on to do as many cool things as he has.
Yeah, such big things. You know, he's on tour with Free Throw right now. That's pretty insane. So shout out Harrison Gordon. By the way,
shout out.
I'm sure everybody already knows, but you know, go listen to Harrison Gordon. Dirt/Spit, dude.
Fantastic artist. And I've heard nothing but good things about like that story. It fits so well in everything else that I've heard about Harrison himself. Like, he's just a good guy, and he's always there helping all the other bands.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy.
He was a joy
Really,
to talk to. You know, I asked him how his tour that he just got off of with Saturdays at Your Place went, and you know, it was okay. But I remember watching the whole time. His van broke down in like Idaho, so I gave him a little bit of shit for that. But it was just it's really cool to realize that your idols are also people, you know, and we did get that opportunity, and we did get to, you know, impress him with our cover.
Make a good impression.
Yeah, man. I mean, that entire show was just great. And then, you know, the other bands that we were talking to, like Cats and Dragons, was their merch was set up right next to ours, and you know, we just constantly were talking to them. The Bloomington show was great, but we want to do real shows up there soon, like full sets, and you know, get to know more of the folks around there. Maybe drag them also down to St. Louis sometimes. Help each other out. We were able to get some people from down in St. Louis to link up with some people around here too, just from our word of mouth, because we knew that they were pretty similar, and you know, they'd get along, and they could, you know, really make some good music.
We really like to be like super involved with the scene and help out where we can.
Yeah.
It's fun to get to know people too. Just talking to them and like hear like where they've come from too, and you know, kind of compare it to our story.
You know, do good by people, people do good by you.
Help the scene.
all about helping the scene. A rising tide lifts all ships, you know. So
There you go.
Yeah.
once one person makes it out of there, you know, everyone gets help. I want to touch on one more thing about what I saw on Instagram, and then we'll get more into your new releases. But one of my favorite things on like your band pictures and is the van.
Yeah.
The van with short notice.
Lamborghini.
I love it. And I think it's like very representative of not only like the genre, but the Central Illinois scene, the DIY kind of scene. Like it's just a bunch of people cramming in a van and going to play a gig in someone's basement. You know, that's what it's about. But I want to hear from your perspective is how has this van kind of been personified to you guys as like your mascot per se, or just like, it holds a place in your heart, obviously.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it is so that the Astro, which everyone from the jump has been calling the Lamborghini. I almost actually bought a Lamborghini badge for it. Turns out those are really expensive. Didn't do that. But the Lamborghini, that's been my first vehicle. I've just had it forever, and it's helped us take loads of equipment everywhere, you know, to go all these gigs, you know, throw everything in there, cram it full. Which now is not really that much of the case because everyone's got, you know, their own vehicles now and stuff. But it's just always been there, you know. It keeps popping up in pictures and stuff like that. And the thing that's written on the side of it, the short notice, I actually got inspiration, which a lot of people have brought it up too. But from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the loaded diaper van, a lot of people are like, has anybody ever
Loaded diaper van?
Yeah. That's where I got the initial. I was like, dude, this would be awesome. And there was this like set of 3 gigs that we ended up on that we called the short notice trilogy, because there was a bunch of shows that they needed Pizza Records needed a band for really quick. I bet on them. So the short notice trilogy happened. I was like, that's it. I'm going to Walmart. I'm getting the window chalk, which it was the cheapest window chalk marker I could possibly find at Walmart. I just scribbled that on there because I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna look cool for the shows. Fun fact, actually, it has rained, snowed, and everything. I have not rewritten that once. That's been on there for like 4 months now.
It's been on there for a while.
Yeah. And I also do like delivery driving and stuff like that too. So it's basically a walking advertisement. Anytime I like get anywhere, they're like, what does short notice mean? I was like, glad you asked.
Here's your Walmart order. Go follow short notice.
Go follow short notice. Yeah. I thought about taking like little like business cards with QR codes. They're like slipping in little CDs to people's orders and just sitting it there.
That's the new hey, check out my mixtape.
Yeah.
Just a short notice fan.
It's been there through all of it. And I tell you what, that thing's a trooper too. I am proud of it because it's got no check engine light on, and it has outlived about 6 or 7 of my friends' cars already. That thing is not dying.
That van is older than I am. It's older than like all
Yeah, it's older than all. It's a 2000 Chevy Astro.
You know what that means? That means that thing came out in 99.
That's pre 9/11.
Oh my god.
The Lamborghini lived to see the towers.
That's crazy. I was born in 99 too, so like maybe I was there, but whatever.
Your
Let's
van
steer
is
off of that topic.
He asked about the van, not about you.
Your van.
My fault. It's just my vehicle that I've been driving around forever.
I like what you said, and I honestly think of it in the same way, that it's like it's very telling of the genre. It seemed like every Midwest emo band I can think of had a gimmick thing of some kind. Like American Football has the house. Charmer also has a house that they kind of, bank off of. We have the Van Bergini.
Van.
That Van Bergini can be on the next 4 albums that we can do. Imagine that. Like we have it sitting on like a pier and it's overlooking a beach, and it's like, man, that van's thinking about something.
The last album is just it's like outside.
Oh no!
And then it's a van at the TV, and it's the plane hitting the towers. Just like
Present day, your van when it came out, it's all sparkling. Your van on 9/11, 2001.
Oh my god!
Yes.
the tires on its head.
Oh
God!
I like having it as our mascot, as our short notice is around if you see that van. It's very telling. I like it.
I tell you what's even funnier about that is it's pretty much all of my things, since we always meet up here, that instead of just being like for example, right now we're in my house. We always get here and
Or
rehearse.
not.
It ends up turning like my van is now just the short notice van. And this house, it's not Gabe's house, it's the short notice house and everything like that.
Correct.
So all of my items are just becoming not mine and just universally the van's.
Short notice cat.
Short notice dog.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's crazy.
We have a short notice guitar that's called the Shitcaster.
Oh, that's not even here right now.
No, it's at my house because I'm using it. Thank you.
Yeah, the Shitcaster is awesome.
We
dude.
kind of passed it around like a barracks bunny in Afghanistan.
That's insane.
you know, we just like, here, you use it for a little bit. Like, I'm trying to learn guitar now, so I'm using the Shitcaster. And honestly, it feels great. It's just like it plays nice. It feels smooth.
There's really nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna be so honest. We just call it the Shitcaster because it's funny.
Yeah.
It's a really cheap guitar that my mom and dad had got me long time ago. This was before I even got my main drum set that I play on. It's a Fender Starcaster in red. Super cool. It doesn't sound horrible. I mean, it doesn't sound great, it doesn't sound like Will's guitar, but still cool. Hopefully one day it'll make an appearance.
I do want the van to be very involved in a lot of it. We've been thinking about writing songs that are about the van, song titles that are about the van, other album covers that we can incorporate the van. The van is very prevalent and is a very important piece of short notice. If that van goes, I worry about the constitution of this band.
Uh-oh.
I think the van goes.
The band goes. It's like God is like, all right, reception check. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Nat 1, we're cooked.
Shit.
I need you all to roll for initiatives. Let's go.
That's so fucking awesome. The Lamborghini. That's just something
tell you
that
what.
you just never forget.
The van is also clapped out too. It's got I've got a sub rig in the back with another car battery in line with it. So it's got two 15-inch subs in the back of it. All the other seats are taken out now because that van just carries equipment and plays really cool music. It's a beast.
It's all you need.
Honestly.
Let's transition to your two newest releases. We kind of talked about Frog People in the little promo video that you did for it, but Brett Level Midnight was kind of like a dual release. You really upon me listening through all 4 songs, you really capitalized on that sound that you established with Sexy 2.0 and Accountability. You really honed in on that sound, and you guys were all saying it, we really figured out what we wanted our sound to be together. So when you guys were creating these new tracks, what was the creative process like for it? Was it a lot easier than last time around, now that you realized okay, hey, this is our sound?
It was a lot easier with the newer songs. With the first time, a lot of it was nerves. I knew that I had a little bit of studio experience, and I knew that I'm terrible in a studio setting. I'm too nervous knowing that I'm being recorded. I know everything, any minute mistake that I make can be heard. So the first 2 songs were a lot simpler. I think we had even these new songs we had for a while. I think they had even been written by the time we recorded the first single, but we chose those first 2 because they were a lot simpler. We knew we can go in and bang these out. We're not gonna be worried about this is our first time as a band in the studio. And so a lot of that was stepping it up when we came back. We're all right, these new songs are harder. There's more going on. There's more intricate parts and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a step up for sure. And I think these new ones, I definitely struggled more with them.
We wrote above our punching weight for sure.
That's kind of a fatal flaw of our band, is we tend to write above our ability. And then we have to just figure it out.
We got the songs out and we were really happy with the product. And our songwriting process is really chaotic, honestly. There's not a
It doesn't start from anywhere in particular.
It's not
It can just begin.
yeah, one of us is got a cool guitar riff, got a melody, got some lyrics. We start with one little thing and it's just compound. Okay, we add more. A lot of it is really an open conversation, and I think that helps with the sound. We will sit and just be no, we should do this. No, we should add another verse. We should do this. And I think that helps with the sound a lot too. We all help each other.
I feel like these ones were Frog People was a little easier to write because I know that Frog People had been an idea since way before I even came along. The short notice page, or I think one of Gabe's other YouTube pages, has an archived video called Haha Funny. And that is the original Frog People. It's basically the exact same thing, except it's got another guitar part on top of it. And the bass part that you hear in the recording of Frog People, that's very It's very fun, and I love it. That's recorded on a guitar, but that was originally Frog People. It was Ha Ha Funny, but it's on YouTube and it's archived away. And I remember when I first heard it, I was sitting on the couch. They just showed me it. They're like, "Hey, Joe, this is one of the songs that we tried to write back in the day." I jumped out of my seat and I was like, "We need to do something with this. It is so good." You know, we eventually got it to Frog People. I think there were like 2 or 3 iterations of that song before it is what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joseph was a big part of bringing that song back because I remember we kind of left it for a while when we did our first show at Pizza Records, which was the first show we did of all original material, and we planned to play it then, and then it was kind of decided it wouldn't fit with the rest of our songs. I still championed it. I love that song. I think it's one of the best songs that we've written, and then it just didn't work out, and it wasn't quite ready at then. It was still needed some time in the oven. But when we were going through all our demos and stuff, and Joseph heard that, says we need to bring this back now. Yeah, that was a big part of bringing that back. That happens a lot.
Like all the time.
I'll forget about song or like riffs that we had, and then someone's like, "What did ever happen to this?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, I didn't think much about it when it was written, but like maybe that is a good idea. We should come back to."
We're writing a lot more, and I was like jumping on Joseph's ass for this, but we just keep we keep all of the scraps, everything that we come up with, and Joseph's like, "Oh, I don't know," and I'm like, "Just keep it, because you don't know when we're gonna come back and be like, holy shit, that was cool, like let's do something with it now."
I'll write all the time. Like I've been having horrible block as of lately, just writing songs, and I was telling her like I will write songs and then I will delete them, and she's like, "Don't do that,"
Because we
like,
keep our archive.
like come
Yeah.
back to it, and like I understand that you don't like it now, but like you can come back to it with a whole new perspective later, have a whole new idea for it, but it's still the words and you can still use it.
There's ideas that we don't get back to for years, and sometimes like there's a song that we're only bringing back now that I made a demo for it maybe 2 years ago, and we're only now coming back to it just out of that was I think mostly Jules's insistence. She's like, "I love this song. We need to bring this back." And I was like, "I have not thought about that in so long."
Yeah,
we should bring that back.
it's another archive song, and I listened to it when I was at a really low point in my life, actually, and I was going through auditions for graduate school and whatnot, and like Will didn't know this, but I just like listened to it on repeat, and then later I was like, "Well, can we please bring this back? This song is my favorite." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I just forgot that was the thing."
Never delete your ideas. Always save your ideas.
Yeah.
I can't remember which artist was it that was talking about it, where they're like, "Yeah, we wrote like 40 or 50 songs, but we only used like 10 of them." You know, you just keep putting ideas out there. It's like throwing stuff against the wall until something sticks. So like, it's just a bunch of ideas where we're like, get through it, we're like, this blows, this sucks, we're not doing this. And then we'll come back to it later, and then Will will be like, "Dude, check out this part," or like I'll be like, "Dude, actually, let's try this." You know, like Jules or Joseph will say, "How about we try this?" You know, changes the whole makeup of the song, makes it sound like, okay, now this is a banger. I know bangers.
I know bangers.
I usually there are songs that I'll be like that I'm writing that I'll be uncertain about. Like, oh, I don't know if this will really work out to anything. Like some of the best songs we have that like I'll bring it to a practice, and it doesn't, like I don't have faith in it until I hear it with the full band, where it's just like I didn't think much of this, but when everyone put their parts onto it and when everyone put their influence onto it, it became something better than I could have made on my own.
We all help each other, and it's really nice because I think we all have the same thought, where we come in and like, "Oh, we've got this little thing and it's not that great," and then everyone else is like, no, let's do something with it right now. So I think that contributes to our sound as well. Like we're all carrying each other through together.
Yeah, you got like a soundboard with 3 other people.
Yeah,
with
Right.
everyone's ideas, four people's ideas that you're able to bounce off of 3 other people, and I'm sure it has its challenges too. But the idea of keeping all these ideas together and not throwing any of them away, because you never know when it could be that missing piece. This is the shit that I love about music. You know, it's just you can't find it anywhere else.
Yeah.
So coming off of that, the past releases, what can fans expect from Short Notice the rest of 2025 after these 2 great songs you guys just released?
We plan on having like a cohesive album. We've been really putting in the footwork past few months, and it's been hard because we're like, "Oh, we want to go do these gigs and see these shows," and we're like, "No, we have to sit the fuck down and get this done."
We all have to come together, write songs, and do shit. This is business.
See, that was the plan originally, because we were supposed to have this whole like songwriting thing back in like December or like November, and we keep getting these like gig offers. We're like, yeah, we cannot turn this one down. We got to go do this.
We'll do it
And it
next
kept
time.
getting pushed back. Well, we'll start next month. How about that? And we got 4 or 5 gigs here, and then okay. And then another one will happen. We're like, dude, we can push this off 1 more month. And then it's like, okay, we actually need to put the brakes on this. Because if we just sit here and we only have like 2 or 4 songs out for like 2 years, that's going to be, lame.
That's rough.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our songs deal with serious stuff, but we've got more songs that hit really close to home for all of us. It's really cathartic and just we get our emotions out. We all know each other. We're best friends. And that comes through in a lot of our songs. We have a lot of songs that we've carried each other through. So a lot more songs, a lot more like we just worked on a song that has piano and trumpet, and we're working on doing some like acoustic stuff, and Gabe's playing guitar and Joseph's learning too. So we're really just expanding our creative boundaries.
Yeah.
An album is something that we've talked about for years now. And I mean, I've always been a fan of just the album format. Just like, I don't know, I feel like just having a whole like cohesive piece on like it, just holding it on a CD, playing it in my car is a dream that I've always had. So yeah, I don't want to put a date on it, but I'm hoping this year. I don't want to rush it because I want it to be good. Again, this is something I've wanted for my whole life. And so I don't want to rush it in any way, but I say that's what the 2025 goal is, to get closer to that.
Yeah, I thought of it. I want to get the album out. Like Gabe said, I wanted to get it out months ago, but 2025, it's the goal. It's only beginning of 2025. We have plenty of time. That does not mean, sit on it. That just means that I still have time. I want to get the album done, and I want to expand our playing range. We've broken into Missouri, but it would be really nice to get a little deeper, maybe meet more people around there. We've been invited to Rolla, Missouri, which is where like Fugitive Beach is. So it's a possibility there. Tons of venues in Bloomington that were recommended for us.
Traveling out,
Yeah,
playing more
hopefully
shows.
maybe even Indiana. Way closer than I ever think. I always think it's so far away. I've just never been east. We can go to Indianapolis. We can be there in like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And
Chicago is a big deal for me. I think that's a huge 2025 goal as well. Like when we broke into St. Louis and I did our first show in St. Louis, that blew my mind because like that's where I go for all my shows and stuff. But like Chicago has always been like that's like a huge deal for me.
the big city.
Well, those certainly are great goals, and I'm really looking forward to the full album, especially the way you guys were talking about it. You guys are like, oh, well, we're piecing it together, and that just means it's going to be fire. Like, you just prepared me for great gas. So I am so excited for you guys to finish it off in the right way, and then put it out whenever it is ready. So I'll be anxiously awaiting.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, no problem. These last 2 questions that I have, I ask everyone that comes on the podcast, and I just like to get a feel for everyone's opinions on these things, because they have to do more with the scene. So Central Illinois music scene in general. So I'll pose this first one to all of you. What's your favorite part of the Central Illinois music scene? We've kind of touched on a lot of different aspects of it, but feel free to say any more.
It's hard to choose. There's a lot of different things going on. Like, I like to listen to a lot of heavier music, honestly. And the Springfield area, the scene around there's a lot of hardcore music, which is kind of weird. We ended up playing with a lot of hardcore bands, actually, as we were coming up and stuff, really heavy metal bands or screamo bands. It's weird that it happened more than once. I think there was one metal band we played with 3 separate times. Just how does this keep happening? We are nowhere near the same. So you got this, twinkly little with Midwest emo, and then you got someone's which I'm there for. Don't get me wrong, I'm so there for it. But it's just I don't know. There's so many scenes around here, especially Champaign. Obviously, we're all so down for Champaign because that's spawned in where Midwest emo happened with American football and stuff like that.
I've always liked how diverse a lot of the music scenes are. It's Springfield's got a lot of hardcore and punk stuff, and then I know Jacksonville has a lot of metal bands that come out of here, and Champaign and Chicago have had. I mean, that's where emo music really started. So it's even in a historical sense, our genre of music owes everything to stuff like American football out of Champaign or Captain Jazz out of Chicago, which has been super cool being from here and seeing that. That's been super inspirational to me. Oh, there's all these bands that I love. They came from really not that far from me. Even like Harrison Gordon more recently out of Bloomington. Like that's an hour from where I grew up. That's been super cool for me.
Yeah, that'd be my answer too. Would be the diversity. Like whenever I started noticing the scene around here, I was around a lot of bluesmen because my friend is a bluesman. So I'd go and watch his shows, and I'd go with him if he was going to a jam at someone's house. And usually it's a lot of older guys, and I don't know an instrument, so I'm just viewing it. The variety is what I'd have to say. You know, lots of blues and hardcore and metal around Springfield. A lot of blues and stuff in Peoria. Emo and hardcore in Bloomington and such. And then, it touches a lot of bases, and each genre has their own scene and their own circles that everyone knows. And then you do see the bands that can, they'll float around. You'll have an indie band, and they'll be playing with Midwest emo guys one day and then hard rock guys the next day. And so I guess at a certain point, you could find a real community in it. Like, I know it's the Central Illinois music community, but you can find your people within it.
That's where I was going. That's my favorite thing is the people. Like, we always talk about, we're like, oh, we met this person, and he's the bassist for this band, who's played with this band, and we played with that band, and this guy we went to school with, and like, it's really, really nice to just meet all of these different people who are in it for the same reason that you're in it. I think it was Gabe said earlier, or no, it was Joseph, someone. It wasn't Will. He doesn't talk much.
Yeah.
One of them was like, we met Harrison Gordon, and someone was like, it was nice to see that he was a person, and he's got the same goals too. He wants to make music and play it for people, and so it's just every time we meet someone new and we start interacting with new bands, it's so nice to have that same feeling. Like we're in for the same reasons.
That is a great part of it. So everyone you meet is so down to earth and all about the art, which is what it really matters, is the music and the way your music makes people feel. This last question that I'm going to ask you is arguably the most controversial question I have asked you today. So just be ready. This question is, who is your favorite artist or band in the scene right now? Now, I know all of the bands are great and all their music is great.
True.
And this is not talking down to any band, but everyone has a favorite. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like in our local scene, is that the
Sure, in Central Illinois or your local scene, whatever. I know you guys talked about Crash Planet already.
There's
So
some house bars out of Staunton, Illinois. I think some of them live in like St. Louis area now, called Silver Material. They've been just a huge inspiration for us. And like, I knew them initially as a fan through just like Midwest emo playlists and stuff like that. They're another Midwest emo band. I think they're geniuses. I think they have they're some of the greatest songwriters in this area. I mean, even Brett Level Midnight is a direct, that riff was inspired directly by their song, Baja Blast.
One large Baja Blast.
One large Baja Blast.
Go listen
But,
to it. Banger song.
Yeah.
Actually, that whole album, banger. Every single one.
It's one of my favorite emo albums. It's they just came out with some new songs that are great as well. They're truly geniuses.
massive shout out to Silver Material right now?
And they've been nice to us. They gave us a chance. When I found out they were local, that's when I actually reached out to them and said, we'd love to set up a show. We're also Midwest emo. And they gave us a chance. We didn't even have any music out at the time, and they booked us on a show in St. Louis. It was the first time we'd ever played in St. Louis. And that meant the world to us. So, I mean, yeah, they've been super helpful on our journey.
We really have a lot to thank Silver Material for. Not only are, we consider them colleagues now, they helped us get into St. Louis. And because of us getting into St. Louis that time, we've been played there a few times before already, and we have more times to go again. We played at the Red Flag out at St. Louis. Thank you to Silver Material. Those guys are insanely talented. Makes me mad.
I'm so jealous of them all the time. Everything I write, I feel like I compare to them, but not in a mean-spirited, competitive way, but in a constructive way, I'll say. Like,
how can I make my stuff sound that good?
Yes. Yeah.
When we first started getting in contact with them, and we were like, oh, we might play with these guys, Will was like, you gotta stay cool. And then we get to the show, and this was the most amped up any of us have seen William.
This man did not play it cool.
It was like Taylor Swift, like Swiftie level.
He's jumping up and down.
He's jumping up and he's like kicking the air.
He's doing this emote. It's like, it's bad.
He's not beating the fan allegations at all.
That's yeah. That's still one of the coolest shows I've been to. And
It was
always
so
played.
cool.
That was
Yeah.
There's a lot of really talented people that we've shared stages with, or even just watched around here. Can we say all of?
yeah, all of
Yeah,
it.
all of
All
it,
of
yeah.
it. They're from Alton.
That
Illinois.
counts. Yeah, they're from Alt, and their front man, his name is Owen. Big shout out to Olive as well. He writes and produces all of their stuff. All the songs are his, and he's once again insanely talented musician. He's got a way with his lyrics and his voice. And then the instrumental bits are often very dreamy and kind of shoegaze, maybe a little dark yet hopeful. To me, it always feels like music that you'd be listening to if you're on a road trip in Oregon.
What a very specific way to put that.
That's
very
actually
nice.
so accurate.
Visualize that.
It's very like Elliot
But
Smith.
yet I can understand it. Like I could
Yeah.
hear it in my head.
Yeah. So I think they're amazing, as well as Silver Material, and I mean,
Obviously, Harrison Gordon.
I was going to say Harrison
Harrison
Gordon and
Gordon.
Trash, because they're both from Bloomington Normal.
Right.
They're also very majorly successful, but in the smaller sense, Olive, Silver Material, man, I'd go see one of their shows every day if I could.
I tell you what's another really great band, actually. It's so hard to choose just one because there's so many talented artists around here. Inner Outlines. That band, awesome. Definitely awesome. Love their music. There really is just like so many different bands out here that you could just say is like your favorite and stuff like that because they write really good music, which kind of gets you thinking like, what if your favorite song is just sitting out there with one of these bands that are smaller, like like us or something like that. You just haven't heard your favorite song because you haven't checked out any of the local scene things, which is really what's inspired me personally to deep dive into as many of these bands around us as possible. Because like Silver Material, if Will hadn't mentioned anything about them, I wouldn't have heard their music. I listen to their music a lot now.
They're this close. They're this close to taking over the world.
I have a slightly controversial take here, but and I'm gonna like start top down. So mine's a bigger band.
You have a list?
No, just
This-
one.
not
I just
the
made.
list.
I'm gonna
Oh.
start with a bigger band.
It's a controversial list though.
Oh, okay.
So I know they branch onto other genres, but I really do have a special place in my heart for Hot Mulligan. And these guys took me to my first show. I actually didn't know any of their music. I didn't listen to anything. They're like, you have to listen to this song. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And I went to the show and I was like, shut the fuck up. This is the coolest thing ever. And I crowd surfed and I was like moshing with people.
Wasn't that the first time you moshed too?
Yep.
There
And
you go.
I was in there. I told Gabe, I was like, I'm getting in that pit. And he was like, please don't, because I'm like 5 feet tall.
Yeah, she went in there and disappeared. It was like seeing someone fall into the ocean. It was like, yep, hang on.
They had other bands open for them, and
Ben Quad was there.
Ben Quad was
Hmm.
there. Yeah, right. So the reason why I bring it up is that like sparked my love. That was the gateway, because then I was like going on Spotify and they're like other similar artists, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Yeah, that's where it started for me. So that's the top down thing was what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trickle down.
Yeah, trickle down.
Trickle
Yeah. But of course, Silver Material, very special place. One Heart, Blood, Baja Blast, Watered Down. And then, of course, like Gabe said, Inner Outlines and Harrison Gordon, all that fun stuff. So,
I think Illinois has some of the best bands. Even American football came from like my hometown, Champaign. Like, of course, based out of Chicago now, but they're still one of the biggest bands for us.
Park
Park.
Park
Park,
is
for
from
sure.
Springfield.
Park from Springfield. On Spotify, they've got 3 or 4K monthly listeners, but you go to the Midwest emo forums on like Reddit and 4chan, they are still massively talked about. Their albums are in circulation, plenty, they traded and stuff. So they're still pretty well known on the scene. They're just not very active, but they are so talented. Clue Me In, goated song. I will fight you.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'll fight you too, Will.
Park.
I'm just there for
There's another Midwest emo band from Springfield that moved to Chicago. They're called Bottom Bracket. They've got songs that reference, places that I just go to in Springfield. Like Centennial Park is where I used to go to skate, and one of their songs, sure enough, has got a line about Centennial Park, and I'm like, I know that. And growing up in such a small region of the country, it's nice to be able to point to things in culture
that I'm like, hey, I know that pertains to me. The area does have a lot of really, really goated artists.
Like current artists and even from
Yeah,
like
back
a lot
in
of
the
older
day.
bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just really hard to see.
It is. I agree. That's why I started this podcast. Was there's so much talent here and not enough people know it exists. And I just want to scream it and let people know, like, there's amazing bands here and you should listen to them. And you can't just always listen to fucking Drake and, you know, whoever else. Like, go listen to Short Notice. Go listen to Harrison Gordon. Like, fantastic music, and people just don't realize like what's in front of their face. Especially like most of these people live around college campuses.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why would you not like want to be involved in that? I feel so disappointed in my college experience because I was never around that. There was no scene like that, at least when I was there. So it's just like, you know, you guys are spoiled and you don't even know. Like I said, that was our last question, but I wanted to thank each and every one of you for coming on here and sharing about your band and all the great stuff you guys have going on. I really appreciate you taking this time to talk to me. It really means a lot. And like I said, I think more people should listen to your music. So
Thanks
We-
for
we
having
also-
us.
No, we can't tell you how thankful we are that we're on here and that, you know, we get to do this. This is so cool. It's so fun.
Yeah,
No.
again, my grandma was very excited.
Adamant to find out how it went. And, no, this is cool, and we only hope to do it again, and we can only hope to do more. This is awesome. This is great.
is there anything you guys want to say before we kind of close out?
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Follow Short Notice on Instagram. That's all-
Instagram, Facebook,
that's all I got.
our not super current YouTube,
Uh,
Spotify.
Spotify, absolutely.
You got to plug yourself because people find you. Be sure to keep up with Short Notice after this interview because it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun and they have great music. So why wouldn't you want to check them out? Their latest releases, Frog People and Brett Level Midnight, are both now on all streaming platforms. So go check them out. If you prefer to support them and pay them money, which you should, you can check out their music on Bandcamp and you can purchase them there. This will be linked in the show notes for this episode, so you can find that link there. Also, go on social media and follow them. So go to Instagram, follow them at short_notice_official. Pretty easy. It's not going to take very long. So just go give them a follow. Check out their Facebook while you're at it. And then also their YouTube page. They have some cool demos over there from older songs. And you can check out that funny announcement that I talked about earlier in the show. They have some really good stuff on there. So you should check it out. Again, everything will be in the show notes. So just be sure to support our friends in Short Notice. They're amazing. And I can't thank them enough for coming on. But just like that, that's our show. You've been hanging out with Clubhouse Chronicles, where the sounds are hot, the stories are hotter, and the vibes absolutely off the charts. Don't forget, hit up at Broken Record Music Club on socials for all updates, news, and more on this podcast and the label. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to subscribe to keep up with all the cool video content we will be rolling out throughout the year. We have our first like little bonus episode coming soon, so be ready for that. We have Jenny Scarra's newest music video just released on there, so you should check that out. Release is sick. We have more releases coming with our artists soon. But until next time, keep it loud, keep it proud, and remember, Central Illinois is where the music, magic, happens. Peace!